Hi, where can you help me? You work here? Yes, I do. Where's Robert Mondavi? Unfortunately, I don't know the cemetery where he's laid to rest because he passed away in 2008 at 94. Well, I was asked, I was told, this person's very particular. They like Robert Mondavi. Well, there's wines that say Mondavi. Do you want the Woodbridge by Mondavi? By Robert Mondavi? Do you want the Robert Mondavi Winery? Do you want Robert Mondavi Private Selection? Maybe you want CK Mondavi. No, just anything that says Mondavi. White, red, I don't know. Okay. Well, we have to start. Maybe we got to text somebody. Where's Coppola? He's out in LA. LA making great movies. Maybe another Godfather sequel. I don't know. He has a daughter named Sophia. Hi. I'm Larry Baker. I am a level 2 certified sommelier and senior wine and spirit specialist here at ABC Fine Wine and Spirit in Sunrise, Florida. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm seeing more and more, even on the everyday wine drinker and the everyday or even the higher collectible people who buy the big ticket items and whatever brand. And I once had just recently, about a week ago, a chef de cuisine from a Michelin star restaurant in France. He's also a certified sommelier like myself, a little higher level. And he was buying wines and a guest walked in and just did exactly that scenario. We just said, where's these names, just rolling out names. And he said to her, Miss, how can you just buy names without knowing what year? She says, well, what do you buy? He says, I don't know these producers of this wine. I just know that this is Grand Cru Chablis, and I know that this year was a great year, so I'm buying wine. And that's what the title of this is. Don't buy names. You can't drink a label. You got to buy wine. You got to buy the wine. And that's even for, I have some examples to show you what I'm talking about. I don't blame the marketing companies out there and who get you on any product, who their job is to brand something, to get you to call out a name of a vodka or a gin or a beer or a pair of jeans that says whatever name that they want you to buy, become. But wine is so particular, the most important factor, except on the really low-end wines when they could pretty much add sugar and manipulate the wine so that it tastes the same every year. But then a $10 to $15 bottle of wine from anywhere in the world, the most important factor is not the name, it's not the grapes, because we know about the 75% rule in America that you're not getting 100% of those grapes very rarely. And even a wine I just wrote about on last week's blog that you've read from my friends Bergevin Lane. This is the one I reviewed, the 2013. The 2013 Calico Red Blend. It was a great wine. I reviewed it. I gave it 88 points, but the wine has 30% Syrah, 30% Syrah, with about 26% Merlot and 25% Cabernet and a little bit of Petit Verdot, like 7%, and Malbec. And it's a great wine, but what if you just came in the store and you said, I want 2 bottles of the same wine? Well, if you notice on this wine, it's 2012. 2012 Calico Red, but it's the same wine, right? It's the same. This is the wine I love because my wife is very particular. She read your blog and she's very, 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 that's her brand. That's her favorite wine. You can't bring her anything else but Calico Red, but there's a difference in the year. In fact, remember I said 30% on the 2013 was Syrah. This is 70%, 70% Cabernet Sauvignon with very little bit Syrah, with only 3% Petit Verdot. How, with a completely different blend of grapes, different weather conditions, could any wine be the same that people just buy it and pick it off the shelf, $100 bottles, $200 bottles, when there's brands that are very expensive that people really can conditioned to say that they love those brands. They'll spend $100 a bottle. We might have them separated, like even Chateau Lafite Rothschild, the first growth from Bordeaux. We have 2 bottles of the same brand or from the same chateau, Grand Cru Classé, but one is $1,600 a bottle and the other one's on sale for $500. People say, why is that? Because one year was better than the other, $500 better, and we're going to charge you more for the better year of that wine. And this is a completely different blend on those two Bergevin Lane wines, and it wouldn't even taste the same. So you walk home with 2 bottles thinking that you got that person who's very particular. They're particular about the label, the name, but you can't be particular about that. I don't care, you know, what brand is on that wine, but if it's that certain blend from that certain vintage made by that winemaker in the same way, it's going to taste one way, and mix all the different weather conditions and the winemaker's choice of grapes in different vineyards and different climate. You've got a completely different wine and paying the same price. You know, I wish all wines were different prices for different years, and then you would be forced to have to look at the vintage. We go to, again, Bergevin Lane. Love this Wild Child Merlot, but this is the 2011 Wild Child Merlot. It's not 100%, it's about 80% or so Merlot mixed with other grapes, and it's a great wine from the Wahluke Slope. But now, what I'm going crazy about is this 2012, and winemaker Dave Harvey made a decision to go 100% Merlot. I haven't seen a 100% wine in a long time in this store, except Petrus, which isn't in this store, but I mean from Pomerol and Bordeaux is 100% Merlot for $1,600 a bottle. But the wines will taste not even the same, but they both look alike to you on the shelf, and that's what I know advertisers and marketers are paid to do, is to get you to like a brand, a name. But with wine, you have to buy the wine. There's no way to scientifically melt down the label and drink the label of the name. You can't make wine. The family's not even involved, like with Mr. Mondavi, a legendary winemaker. I love this guy. There'd be no Napa Valley without Robert Mondavi, but the man died at 94 in 2008. His family's not involved in it. It's owned by a big corporation that makes wine with different names that say Mondavi, Mondavi on this Mondavi, and which is really Mondavi. And what's the difference? You don't even know what year you drank. You're just buying a name. I want you to buy wine, not a name. In Italy, so important. We're looking at the region of Barolo. This is a 2011. I love Cabuto, but I love Barolo. The grape is Nebbiolo. But anybody who knows anything about that area in Italy, 2002, I mean, when I was a salesperson selling wine, not for recommending wine for ABC, I'm talking about for distributors, if I had a 2002 anything from Piemonte, Barolo, or anything from Tuscany, 2002, I would give deals I would take advantage of these young managers who were also just filling up brands that they were out of stock on and weren't paying attention to the vintage, because 2002 most of the wineries in Barolo in Piedmont couldn't even make wine. It was a total washout of rain, and if you look up 2002 in any vintage chart in Tuscany, it'll say rain, 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 rain. 2001, one of the best years, and then right the very next year, what a difference a year makes, it becomes the worst wine. So if you're just addicted to Cabuto and you send your husband out or your wife out, or you order from a delivery service, that we use many delivery services, as you know, with ABC, Instacart, Ship, Postmates, DoorDash, and you just tell a person, buy the wine, and don't text your driver, what year is the wine? Is it a 2011 or is it 2012? The perfect example is Brunello di Montalcino. We all know I kiss bottles of La Giurla, and I love Brunello. 2010 was one of the best years ever for anybody at Brunello, and when I worked at a Shima Brazilian restaurant, I loaded up on 2010. The 11 was still a good year for La Giurla, not many others, but it wasn't the spectacular vintage that 2010 was. And now we're moving on, as you can see, to the 2012. I've tasted these 2012, and it's another 2010 all over again, just like a 97. So as much as I love these wines, Alberto Pastori from La Giurla, Nadia Galati, the importer, will tell you it's very important what vintage that you're drinking, especially with these European wines, whether it's $20 a wine in Bordeaux, where they can't mess around with adding sugar to adjust the wine. It's a big problem. And if my point was wrong, if you think I'm wrong and you say your Chardonnay or your Merlot, whatever that brand is always the same every year, then I would have to call Marvin Shanklin from Wine Spectator magazine and say all you have to do is review all the popular brands once, and that's it. You give it a rating, it's going to taste the same every year, and then go out of business. Just go out of business. Why do we need them to review every year the same wine? They rate it once. They pick a top 100 wines of the year, top 100 wines of the year. They made a list. This one showed the 2016, but now we have the 2017 top wines of the year. Why do they make a new list every year? Why isn't the same wine number one every year? Because the vintage changes. So that's where we want you to do. You can find out more information about that wine, but make sure that if you buy online or you check with the delivery service or you come into that store, if I gave you a wine recommendation that you're buying the same vintage, or ask me, did you taste the new vintage and my opinion on that vintage? Just don't pick up bottles of the labels that look familiar. More and more my guests are thanking me, and you will too. In restaurants, they're asking people, oh, I see that wine, I've had it before. Larry recommended it to me at ABC in a restaurant. What year? Are you on the 14 or the 15? Because I want the 14. And make them consider the year as the most important thing, as you should too. Check out all this information on www.abcfws.com and follow me. You could ask me if it's the right vintage by contacting me. Once you become a follower, just put here your email address and you will get my phone number to contact me in several different ways. So that wraps it up. Buy wine, like that Frenchman said. Buy the wine, don't buy the name. You can't drink the label. I don't care how pretty the label looks. I don't care what it looks like. Buy the wine, buy the vintage, and that's it. Wine is not for snobs, okay? Even vintage wine is for everyday people like you and me. I'll see you next time.